let's key out more tar plants at or near Lake Elsinore. So we have 3 species of Deinandra here. First, I have Deinandra kelloggii, which has the 5-ray flowers. I have Deinandra fasciculata, which also has 5-ray flowers. And I have Deinandra paniculata, which has 8-ray flowers. So let's go through the key and understand these characteristics a little bit better. But just so you know, it's pretty easy to identify these in the field. This one doesn't have those clustered heads, but it has the 5 rays. This one has the fasciculate heads. That means the grouped heads, Deinandra fasciculata. So that makes it easy to identify. And then you have Deinandra paniculata, which has the 8 ligules or ray flowers. So that makes it easy to see the difference between these 3 Deinandra that are on site. Okay, but we'll get into more detail here in the key with Deinandra by Bruce Baldwin. Okay, so first, on 1 and 1 prime, do you have a subshrub or shrub, paley in a 2 or 3 plus series, or subtending all or most disc flowers? So what does that mean exactly? Well, I grabbed this sunflower from the gardens because it's huge, so you can see the paley really well. So these are the bracts that surround all of the seeds. Do you see this white material right here? Well, you can see that the paley is everywhere in the head because it's surrounding all of the seeds or the flowers in this Helianthus annuus. Okay, but we don't have that in Deinandra that we have here, the 3 Deinandra. We have the paley in a ring. So they form this ring of paley around the ray and the disc flowers versus what I just showed you on Helianthus annuus where it's everywhere in the entire head. Okay, so if we had it in the 2 to 3 series or everywhere, we would have these 2 species, but we don't. We clearly have an annual, so that makes it so easy, and we have the paley in a 1 series between the ray and disc. Next, it wants us to count our ray flowers and our disc flowers, and then look at the pappus of scales. But we clearly have 3 to 5 in these 2 plants. So let's go that way in the key first instead of picking our 8 ray flowers. So we pick 3 to 5, and then the next step is 4 and 4 prime. Ray flowers 3, sometimes 4. Disc flowers 3, sometimes 4. And that would key to lobii, which isn't in our region. It's also very cool because it just has 3 rays. So that's a neat way to identify that plant, but it's not in Southern California. Okay, next, so we picked 5 ray flowers. So now let's go on to 5 and 5 prime. We're gonna look at the filiary glands. So filiary is generally sessile glandular, at least near the margins, rarely stalked glandular. Stalks less than the glands, anthers plus or minus red to dark purple. So here we're going to compare Deinandra kelloggii because that goes one way in the key and Deinandra fasciculata goes the other way in the key. So Deinandra kelloggii has these amazing stalked glands on the filaries, and you can see them even with the naked eye, probably from a distance. They're so big, these glands, okay, on the filaries, versus Deinandra fasciculata, which doesn't have the glands. So you can see no glands on the filaries there and these huge stalked glands on kelloggii here. So that's the split in the key there. So let's continue on going to kelloggii. We picked that the filaries are stalked glandular. Okay, so now let's look at the leaves. Proximal leaves generally pinnately lobed to toothed, or they can sometimes be entire. Heads in open panicle-like clusters. Pappus of linear to oblong, entire or fringe scales. So that's the other cool thing we can see right away is the open panicle-like clusters. So you can see on kelloggii, they're not clustered tight like fasciculata right next to it. So here's fasciculata on this plant over here, and you can see it's this open panicle-like cluster. And then the leaves are pinnately lobed. And if I pull them out of the water, you won't be able to see, but you can see the pinnate lobes on the leaves down there. Okay, so see the pinnate lobes on Deinandra kelloggii. Okay, so that goes that way in the key. So we key it straight to Deinandra kelloggii, not mohavens, which would have proximal leaves being generally entire, sometimes serrate, heads with tight, it has tight grouped heads. So that's the difference, one of the differences there between Deinandra kelloggii and mohavensis. And mohavensis is not where we're working anyways. Okay, so now let's look at our plant that has the 8 ligules. Okay, so that was where we on 3, now on 3 prime, we pick how many ray flowers we have. Okay, so we have 8 now. Anthers yellow to plus or minus brown, or are anthers red to dark purple? So let's look at the difference there. So these anthers are really, really dark purple on our Deinandra kelloggii, or sorry, Deinandra paniculata. They're dark purple. And I grabbed actually another Deinandra in Kern County, so you can see the difference here between dark purple and then brown. So here's anthers that are brown. You can see they're not that dark purple color that we have here. Okay, so that is 8 and 8 prime. So we picked dark purple here. Next, 12 and 12 prime. 12 and 12 prime take out Deinandra floribunda, which is in southern San Diego County, right on the border in eastern San Diego County. So it's really outside of our range, and it looks nothing like these species. It's like one nice big stalk and then this huge bunch of heads at the top. Anyways, it's just outside of our range completely. So let's move on to the next. We have 13 and 13 prime, ray flowers 15 to 35, pappus 0 or crown-like with irregular scales less than 1 millimeter, or are ray flowers sometimes 7, 8 to 13, pappus 4 to 14, generally oblong or linear to lanceolate scales 0.5 to 2 millimeters. So clearly we have the ray flowers are 8 in our species here that we're identifying. Okay, 14 and 14 prime. Filaries unevenly sessile, stalked glandular, glands highly variable in size. Filary body 3 to 7 striate, pappus scales 0.5 to 1 millimeter, less than half the corolla length. So this is Deinandra conjugans, and this occurs in Southern California near Otay area, and it's a really, really rare plant. This one, so you got to look at the glands on the filaries. So let's look at our Deinandra paniculata, and this is pretty evenly stalked across all of the Deinandra paniculata. So that's really different than Deinandra conjugans, which has all that variability in the glands. Okay, so that we're going to move on from Deinandra conjugans, then picking 14 prime and going here to 15 and 15 prime. Disc flowers 8 to 14. And I had 9. I counted ours in the Deinandra paniculata. This one had 9. So we fit this one here really well. Ray flowers, sometimes 7, sometimes 10, but usually 8, which we have too. Rays 3 to 7.5 millimeters, which is the case here with ours. And then filaries 5 to 6 millimeters. I didn't measure that, but I'm sure that fits too. So then that would go straight to Deinandra paniculata versus our disc flowers being 13 to 32, ray flowers 8 to 13. I counted the disc and it doesn't fit in this category. And anyways, this is Deinandra increscens, which occurs, it's the grassland Deinandra, and that's outside of our region too. So, and all of those are rare. So we have Deinandra paniculata, which is actually rare too. It's a CNPS list 4 species. So we just keyed out all of our Deinandras. We have Deinandra paniculata, Deinandra fasciculata, super common everywhere, and then Deinandra kelloggii. So I hope that helps us understand all the Deinandras that occur at our site.